Welcome to our Google AdWords 102 tutorial. In Part 1, we'll set up a site-targeted advertising campaign. In this video, we'll look at how to set up a site-targeted campaign rather than a keyword-targeted campaign. A keyword-targeted campaign is, of course, an AdWords campaign where you choose to have your ad appear when certain keywords are typed in. For example, in our Antique Tables campaign, when people type in Antique Tables on Google, that's when my ad should appear. However, with a site-targeted campaign, you take a different approach. Rather than bidding on keywords, you go directly to the site where the people in the audience you want to reach spend their time. That's where you place your ads. For example, there may be an antique forum online where people have discussions about antiques they're looking for, recent finds they've had at recent antique shops, and so forth. The point is that with a site-targeted campaign, you can find these sites where your audience congregates and advertise directly to them. So it's a different approach which you can use as well as or instead of a keyword-targeted approach. Let's go about setting up a site-targeted campaign. Just click the link here, and that takes you to the New Site-Targeted Campaign Setup screen. As you can see here, there are just a few steps to the process. First of all, let's name the campaign. Let's say in this example I want to use the subject matter of creating a PDF. So let's say PDF software site targeted. Name the ad group. Let's just say PDF software for now. That will do for this example. Scroll down. I'll aim this at English-speaking customers and visitors. Now targeting customers by location. Again, you can get very specific, but probably the more specific you get, the fewer sites that will be available to you to advertise on. So I'll choose countries and territories and continue. Now we get to set up the countries we want. By default, it's added the United Kingdom for me, but I want to add other major English-speaking countries: Australia, Canada. Scrolling through, none of these are English-speaking countries, so let's continue to scroll. And the United States, of course. There's New Zealand and other potential countries, but I'll leave them out of this example for now. Continue. And now we create the first ad. What I often do, as I've demonstrated previously, is just do a placeholder here since I don't want to spend a lot of time at this point working on a specific advertisement. So for now, I'll just type in headline of advert, tab, description line 1, tab, description line 2, and that takes me to the next box, which is the display URL. Okay, what are we going to advertise? In this example, let's use the very popular PDF creation software, pdf995.com. I'll use that site for this example and copy it into the destination URL box as well. Then click Continue, and Google does a quick check, and then I can create additional ads if I wish, or continue. Again, as I just mentioned, I'm going to change this in a moment, but for now I prefer not to take time to write the ad at the campaign setup stage. I prefer to return to it when I can take my time about it. Okay, how do you choose your sites? As you can see, you have 4 different approaches. You can browse categories, You can describe topics. You can see that if you click that, you can enter potential topics into the text box. You can list URLs to find out if specific sites are available and to see if there are similar sites available. Not every site that exists is able to present Google advertisements. And finally, you can select demographics. Here you can see the basic options, which are pretty broad: gender, age, household income, etc. If your product has a pretty general audience, then this may be helpful for narrowing down sites. Okay, let's click on List URLs and quickly do this as a demonstration. Let's start by listing PDF 995 as my own site, or the demo site in this instance, and see what Google gives me. I don't believe that PDF 995 actually has any Google ads on their site. I don't believe so because if they did, it probably would appear at the top of the list. But anyway, Google now presents a list of sites that it feels are relevant to the sites I entered. Some of these sites are very broad, as you can see. There's MySpace and 2Cows, which is a download site, Free Download Center, and so on. Such general sites could be appropriate for your audience, or perhaps not. Perhaps you need a more niche site. In any case, you can see there's a lot to look through here. Now I'll show you how it works with described topics. Let's click on that and describe topic. Let's say create PDF and get available sites. And you can see there's some duplication here. Free Download Center has appeared again, and eBuddy and SourceForge.net. Again, you can see that it gives you lots of suggestions. In this instance, I'm going to use the Browse categories as the example. It's the most relevant category to me. Let's quickly see what there is. Possibly computers and electronics, and after a quick look, it appears that that's the most relevant category in this instance. Let's drill down a little, and we see computer security, consumer electronics, and here's software, which would be the most relevant. And now we've got other subcategories: audio and multimedia, business and productivity. But which would be the most relevant? Possibly graphics and publishing. When we click there, we see there are no more subcategories, and here's the list. As you can see, for each of these sites that Google returns, they give you quite a few details. Let's see what happens when you check out more info. There's no need to click it, just hold the mouse over it and some information appears, and we can view an example page if we wish. I'll right-click and open it in a new window so we can just take a quick look at the site to get a feel whether it's relevant or not. You can see that the name of the site was actually a giveaway. It's a site that offers a large number of fonts that you can download if you wish, plus there's other information about fonts as well. Let's close that. Other sites include esnips.com, CoolText, and quite a few other examples. Now let's look at formats and see what information this offers. Here it tells you which ad formats are displayed on the site and where your ad might appear. Here, for example, there are 3 formats listed. This site, bannersbaroque.com, contains text ads. As you see, it says text ads can appear in any ad unit on this site. Image ads. It has image ads in several sizes. Leaderboard at 728 pixels wide by 90 pixels high. Inline rectangle, 300 by 250 pixels. And wide skyscraper, 160 by 600. The first number is always the width, and the second number is always the height. And on this site, you can also have video ads. The size availability is an inline rectangle at 300 by 250 pixels. Okay, impressions per day. Again, we get more information if we hold the mouse here. The system's estimate of the maximum impressions available per day. What's an impression? It's an ad impression and potentially the number of times your ad could be viewed. So here you see a very popular site which, according to Google, could yield 500,000 ad views per day. You can sort this list. For example, if I click here, it sorts in ascending order, starting at the lowest traffic sites. And if I click again, it sorts in descending order, with the highest traffic sites first. So you see that second is eSnips at 100,000 to 500,000 per day, then cooltext.com, and so on. So there are plenty of potentials there. In this instance, we see that there are quite a few font-related sites. You can choose to add all 98 sites if you wish. If we scroll down to the bottom, we find that number 98 is myfont.de. So that would appear to be a German site that just takes text ads. In any case, you can see that you have the option to pick all these or pick and choose which sites you want to advertise on. In this instance, let me click on Advertise on all 98. And if we scroll over, we see that here they are. Then you can go through the list and remove certain ones if you wish. Then, if you want even more potentials, you can click on the Find More Sites link like this. And it adds all these sites and does searches from them to bring you even more potentials. Let's have a look. I'll click on Impressions per Day to sort by that, and once more so we get it descending rather than ascending order. Okay, the first listing is Free Download Center, 100,000 to 500,000 impressions per day, 2 cows again, tutorialized.com. So as you can see, there really are a lot more potential sites. And just for this example, let's add all these as well. As you can see, there's the potential to reach a really massive audience this way, and you can even get an idea of how many people roughly will see your ads. Keep in mind that these impressions are more related to page views than discrete visitors. One visitor may view 10 pages. Obviously, this won't give you the exact match with the number of visitors, but if you make an assumption about how many page views each visitor will have, you will get a rough idea of total visitors. So scroll down, and continue, or alternatively, it's here on the left in the usual place. Let's click here, and now we set pricing. Reading here, 81 sites allow video, image, or text ads. Maximum impressions per day, 500,000. 131 sites allow image or text ads, and again, 500,000 ad views. And 49 sites allow text ads only, and also provide 500,000 ad views. Okay, so now what's the daily budget? I'll just go very small in this example with $1 a day. An important point to note here is that site-targeted campaigns are priced very differently from keyword-targeted campaigns. In keyword-targeted campaigns, if your ad is clicked on, it costs you. But with site-targeted campaigns, you don't actually pay per click, you pay per CPM, which stands for cost per thousand. So for example, in the Google explanation, you see you would pay $10 for every 1,000 ad impressions. Again, you aren't paying per click. The higher price or value you put here, the more likely that your ads will be shown, because you're still competing with other advertisers on these sites. The ad that has the highest quality rating according to Google's secretive algorithm, which at the most basic level is a combination of clicks and maximum cost per click, or in this instance, maximum cost per thousand, the ad that makes Google the most money, in other words, that ad will appear nearer the top, and ads with fewer clicks or a lower CPM will appear lower down. In a nutshell, the more clicks your ad gets, and the higher the maximum cost per click or cost per thousand impressions, the higher up your ad will appear, and the more ad views you're likely to get. You may wish to look at the Google help documentation on this for more information, but keep in mind that this is something they change quite regularly, so it's worth checking periodically. Here's another page to look at. AdWords.blogspot.com. This is the official Google AdWords blog, and any major changes are published here, so checking here once a week or even more often will keep you up to date on all the changes the Google AdWords program goes through. It's helpful to keep track of changes regarding anything you're doing on AdWords. Let's close that and go back to our setup. So I've set up the daily budget of $1 a day, and for cost per thousand, let's just choose $1. That's pretty low for cost per thousand. And continue. Now we can review our selections. Campaign name, PDF software. Site targeted. Languages, English. Location, the English-speaking countries including Australia, Canada, the UK, and the US. Daily budget is $1. Ad group name is PDF software. And for now I've put in a dummy ad, which I'll change in a moment. Sites. We have lots of sites, something like 260. Now for the sake of this exercise, I didn't look through this list in depth, but I do suggest that you take your time to review them, because you really only want to advertise on very relevant sites where you're confident your audience spends its time. Let's scroll past this and save the campaign. And the campaign is now active. Here we're at the campaign level, and of course nothing is happening yet. No clicks, no impressions, because we literally just went online. Let's click through to the ad group, and let's quickly change this to make this somewhat relevant. We'll click on the ad, and click on Edit. We'll quickly change this to something relevant. Since the software creates PDFs, let's say in the headline, easily creates PDFs. Description line 1, free download of powerful software. And line 2, that creates PDFs instantly. That'll do, and I don't think that's stretching the truth too much. Reading back through it, easily create PDFs, free download of powerful software that creates PDFs instantly, and pdf995.com. And save. Okay, there it is, and that's all done. Now let's have a look through these tabs. The Summary tab is just a summary of the ad group, and nothing has happened so far. Sites, and there's a breakdown by site as you can see. This is very helpful information, and we have 261 sites in total. If you want to show more sites per page, just change the view in this drop-down box. Let's change it to the maximum 500, and they should now all be on one very large page. Let's go to the front page of the Google AdWords account and the Campaign Summary Overview. And there's our site-targeted campaign. I'll just select it and choose Edit Settings just to double-check it and make sure that everything is exactly as I want it. Campaign name, start date, end date in over 3 years, so that gives us plenty of time. Daily budget is $1. Delivery method standard. Ads are running at all times. I want to rotate ads, even though I only have one ad at the moment, and this only comes into effect when you have more than one ad per ad group. I'll put it on rotate, since that's something I'll have to do later anyway if I have multiple ads per ad group. Language is English, and those are the locations. Save that. Let's click through to the campaign and click the ad group name. Those are the sites. And as you can see, if you wish, you can add additional sites. Click, and we'd go through the whole process again. Let's cancel that. You can also edit sites and your cost per thousand. There are the sites, and you can change the maximum CPM, or you can now use Google's more advanced way of making specific changes. So there are all the sites. If you want to change the cost per thousand for certain sites, for example, let's pick 3D tutorial, and if you add 2 asterisks, then change the CPM for this site to $2 per thousand, and save that. And actually, you'll see that I just made a slight mistake there. My bid is greater than the daily budget. So that's obviously a bad example, and I'll change this to 50 cents per thousand instead. And save. And now this shows that all the sites display a dollar bid except the 3D tutorial, which shows 50 cents. Note too that you can select certain sites and pause them if you wish. And those sites should now be paused. If you scroll down to the bottom, you see they're now tucked away at the bottom of the list and show paused status. If we go back to the top of the list and choose our 3D tutorial site again, and delete, am I sure? Yes. And it should now be gone, and it is. That's an overview of how you set up site-targeted campaigns, how you choose your sites, how you set up your advertisements and your maximum cost per thousand rather than cost per click, and once you've got a campaign up and running, how you can see exactly what's happening in the campaign, how you can make some changes, such as changing the cost per thousand, pause some sites, or even delete sites entirely.